Here I am in the Hillgrove Cemetery, and for me this is a sacred space. My grandparents came here around the turn of the 20th century, a young couple just married, a little boy, seeking their fortune, because behind us the little town here is only tiny now, but it was about 3,500 people and was one of the richest bits of land in New South Wales. It was a great gold mine there. So it was swarming with hopeful people coming here to make their way in the world, and but dangerous territory too. The mining was dangerous, there was disease, and sure enough my little uncle Eric, who was only two, he got diphtheria and died, just like this family here in 1897. The mother died, but then the little girl died at 2 years and 9 months. And this must have been the story for lots of families, but for me, there's something about joining the place to the story, because this is a very significant place for my whole family, because my grandfather and grandmother, James and Bertha, they were heartbroken about their little boy dying, as you would be, and went looking for solace, went looking for hope. I went to the church, and the church said, well, just keep coming to church and things will be all right. But that didn't really give them comfort, didn't give them solid hope. A Salvation Army girl started to talk to them up here, and my cousin told me that grandfather was a bit annoyed by it at first, but gradually he started to listen and hear the story of Jesus for himself, and what Jesus had done, and how he could reach into their lives and give them hope for themselves and for their little boy. So that was a turning point for my whole family, because when they left here, my grandfather said he was baptised in the creek somewhere around here, where they buried they drowned the unwanted dogs and cats, which is a typical grandfather way of saying things. He went away from here back to Newcastle, Maitland, Cessnock area, and there became a street preacher, loved gathering children, telling them Bible stories, started little churches. My dad and my uncle followed him, building churches, building campsites, running Sunday schools, doing a lot of youth work, pastoral care and so on. And then on into my generation as well. So that one little moment where a Salvation Army girl, unknown, don't know her name, persisted in sharing what she knew about Jesus, had a profound effect on my family. And I think my family's affected perhaps thousands of other people, directly or indirectly. This morning I was up at Tenterfield in telling the story of Sir Henry Parkes, who was the father of Federation, and it's a large story. This is just such a small story, a tiny one. But you know, one thing I've learnt as I travelled, that the importance of seeing that the small story, if you tell the small stories well, you can build an understanding of the bigger story out of the small one. So making the pilgrimage here and connecting the story to the place, for me, this has a special place in my heart now, because it's not just the story of my grandparents, but the story of how God's grace came into our family life and changed everything, and what a beautiful gift that was. And I hope that you too, as you travel, and maybe you'll connect your family story to the place where it happened, the same thing might happen. You might begin to say, yeah, that's amazing, and you begin to tell that story to other people. I've told this story to many people, and that idea of joining the story to the place, one documentary maker said, magic happens, or something unusual happens. It's 1 + 1 = 3. There's something bigger than just that little story, that little atom of story. Once you connect it to our Australian story, and my grandparents played a part in that, but down in Newcastle and beyond. But now connecting it to God's big story, somehow those stories are all going to be gathered up into one great epic. It's going to be told one day. And for me, this is one of my sacred spaces, Hillgrove Cemetery. And somewhere here, my Uncle Eric, only a little baby boy, 2 years old, infant, is buried. And it's nice to come and salute him and to salute that Salvation Army girl who took the opportunity to share with my grandparents the good news of Jesus.